Yes. Hello and welcome to the massive YouTube Iceberg Tier 9 3. Shout out to everybody still hanging along. Shout out to Swig. Shout out to Potted. I seen a comment in the last one that said that this is where some of the more disturbing things are. Let me actually go pull that comment up. Yes, Silver Apple. Tier 9 Part 3 is the most disturbing as of now. Tier 10 Part 1 is my favorite video. And Tier 10 Part 2 is probably the most disgusting part. Well, I guess we are in for a treat. Another thing that is special about this video is 6 months ago, 6 months, you can find my comment saying, let's go! I'm catching up, Swag. I'm catching up, man. And I was catching up, but then a lot happened. So then I didn't catch up. So 6 months later, I'm at Tier 9 3. That's so wild to look at. I'm still watching this 6 months later. It's crazy. Anyways, let's get into remember to love yourself. Remember to be your authentic self. Remember to spread that love. Let's get to the video. Now, I know I said I would do this live. The only thing with doing this live that would make it a little bit tough is I have to do a time where everybody can watch. And I think this is like a no-brainer, but everybody is from somewhere different. You know, you have the 3 time zones here in America, so it's that, then it's the ones who watch across the pond. I just wouldn't find a good time to really catch everybody unless it was like I feel like a maybe 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know, but I'm just gonna end up just, you know, recording them so you guys have them to go back to, and then, you know, you're experiencing it for the first time when you're watching it, at least like not live, feeling like, you know, FOMO, or, you know, if you missed out or anything. So don't worry about it. I'm just gonna, but what I'm gonna try to do today, and I may get through all of it, I may not, I'm gonna try to one-shot the entire video. Now, the reason I break it up is because I think like how much I yap watching an hour long will probably now go to, if I watch the full hour, it'll probably be a 2-hour long video, but I don't know. We're gonna see. This is where I'm gonna challenge myself to really comment on the things I would like to, and if I don't have any comment, I just won't say anything. Maybe I'll say something little. Transformation, am I right? We'll see. Yaps. Let's go.
Hello and welcome back once again to the massive YouTube Iceberg Explained. Today we'll be finishing up Tier 9, the Satan tier. As I mentioned in the last video, this tier is supposed to be generally one of, if not the most disturbing part of the iceberg, specifically this last third of it. Just saying it now, in this video we'll be talking about some pretty heavy stuff, and it'll get progressively worse as the video continues. It also probably won't be that bad at the beginning, but you'll see what I mean. Anyways, thank you to my $7 patrons, Original But Unfunny, 80 Constant, Hollowed, and The Biggest of Men, as well as the $3 patrons shown on screen now. You guys really help out the channel. Oh, and also a quick update on that whole Squidward fan 1982 thing from the last video. I got a message from the viewer of the channel, Dylan is Cool 144, who actually managed to get a hold of Hugo Munchmix Able 93. And straight from the man's mouth, it turns out the whole story is just completely fabricated, and he just felt like making up a deceased YouTuber. Reasons are unclear, but I guess deceased YouTubers just happen to be one of Hugo's hyperfixations, which sounds weird, but is entirely possible, I suppose. With all that out of the way, let's finish up Tier 9. But first, have you ever done a Google search for your first and last name or your email address? You'd probably be pretty shocked to find out what you can see about you.
This is what Ivy League University.
Here we go. Mist Man 12 unlisted videos. BBC.
Okay, maybe it won't be immediately disturbing. If you didn't know, Micah McGonagall, also known by his internet alias Mistman12, is a video game developer most well known for being the sole developer for the horror game Baldi's Basics and Educational Learning. Wow. I use the term horror loosely. It's more of a surrealist humor kind of thing that seems to make fun of both educational games in the 1990s like Sonic Schoolhouse, and possibly even the indie mascot horror side of the video game market. Though some would disagree with that. I guess that's a retrospective for another time. And for another YouTuber, I'm not making that video. Anyways, what we're talking about here is Mistman12's unlisted videos on his YouTube channel, which are archived by a playlist at the Baldi's Archive channel. A lot of these videos are expectedly development footage and beta content and stuff like that. Not super interesting if you're not into the game itself, though I suppose the general art style of the game does make this entry qualify as one of those weird 3D animation channels. I suppose there is one video where he speeds run Hungry Pumpkin, so it's gotta count for something. There's also this animation with no sound. All in all, I feel like this is just here because Potted Plant really likes Baldi's Basics, which, to be honest, if I was making a 1,500 entry long Iceberg chart, I think putting a few entries that pertain to my interests would be more than fair. That's why I don't really mind this entry.
And now you're making a mod for Baldi's Basics, so that's pretty cool. I seen like, why am I acting so awkward with it? I'm like, oh, I seen the comment on my other video, but yeah, that'll be pretty fucking cool to see. So yeah, all right, that's it. Continuing, I'm so out of it.
This entry refers to an unused video file found in the files of the game SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, specifically the Xbox version of the game. Included in this game is, for whatever reason, the intro cutscene to Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, another licensed game that was made by the same developer, Heavy Iron Studios. Reasons why this might be in the files are fairly obvious to me. One reason why this is here is that the file was left in by the most likely underpaid developers on accident when working between the two games. I'd assume the two games run off the same engine since they were both made by the same studio at the same time, so that makes sense to me. Another possible reason is that maybe there was some kind of trailer or demo menu that some games used to include in the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era that was cut mid-development for whatever reason. Whatever the case is, obviously people want to archive this file, as cut content from video games in any form is just generally interesting. So somehow this one user, Funlund, managed to upload the raw file from the game data onto YouTube. Problem is, the upload is completely fucked up.
What the hell, bro?
The video itself plays normally, however the audio is broken beyond repair. From the sounds of it, the audio keeps stuttering, which results in the audio becoming very out of sync with the visuals. This for some reason results in the video appearing to be only around a minute long, but it actually plays for around 3 times that. This video was taken down at some point, so I can't exactly verify, but many people say that on top of all of this, the uploader was being very weird in the comment section, replying to every comment asking questions, repeating phrases like, "This works on an Xbox," or "It started to spread." I believe the reason this guy does that is that either he's weird or a troll, most likely the latter.
Yeah.
You know, it adds to the whole mystique of this video if he acts all cryptic in the comments. Sadly, like I said, the video was deleted at some point, though re-uploads exist of it in its original fucked up state. There's also videos of people properly converting the Xbox video file into a real file format that people use, though I personally prefer the fucked up version.
Oh, so like the properly
Zabava 2 is a video uploaded in 2012 by Quatrix SF. It appears to be a Russian animation with a plot pretty similar to Toy Story. Toy Story if Andy happened to be a large-breasted woman and Woody and Buzz and all of his other toys were horny as fuck for her. All the toys in the room try to woo her, fighting amongst themselves for who gets to fuck the human. Wait, holy shit. Finally, this inflatable dinosaur motherfucker wins, and then...
Wait. What?
Is were horny as fuck for her. All the toys in the room try to woo her, fighting amongst themselves for who gets to fuck the human.
So, like, if the robot did the... Never mind.
Wait, holy shit.
And then Steven... There's a Steven universe. No, stop playing. This isn't serious, is it? There's no way.
Finally, this inflatable dinosaur motherfucker wins, and then realizes he doesn't have a dick. And, yeah.
So that's what I was about to say. Was his when she stepped on his tail, it swelled up, and I was like, what? And I was like thinking like that's what it was. That like there's supposed to be like some innuendo as soon as I heard this was like a sexual version of Toy Story.
Yeah, I guess that works. She doesn't seem very willing to have sex with a giant inflatable dinosaur,
you see what
which, I mean, luckily for her, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who wouldn't mind taking her place. However, the dinosaur just keeps pushing, lifting up her dress with his cocktail and approaching her. Fucking rapey-ass dragon. Once he does that, though, she's into it, I guess, and then she bites the tip of his dick and he gets sent flying all over the room. The video ends with the text "to be continued," which, going to the uploader's channel, we can see is a bold-faced lie. I know you're all torn up about Zabava 3 not existing, although Zabava 1 does exist, so that's gotta count for something. The interesting thing about these animations is that they're actually based on a true story. They're apparently directed by Roman Mitrofanov of the Argus Film Studio, who's best known for directing that one obscure Hobbit animated film that came out in the early 90s. Or I guess I should say it didn't come out at all. The film was never completed, most likely as a result of the collapse of the Soviet Union. I'd hazard a guess to say that's possibly why Zabava 3 never dropped too. So, if you're really...
What's crazy is, like, this, okay, so these animations and stuff make me think about, like, the people who are very, very good at animation or just drawing in general that make the NSFW content. Like, it's insane, like, because the animation is leagues above what I could ever pull off. I feel like even if the drawing style is a little quirky and odd and, like, you know, odd proportions and everything, it's pretty good animation, like, at least for my standards, like, to even take the time and spend the time to do this. And it's just wild when you have that level of talent. I guess you really can do, like, or like talent or skill animation and drawing. You really could make whatever the hell you want. Like, it's so odd, but it's like actually pretty good quality. When we were dying, hang on, but it's just odd. I'm finally getting over this cough, dude. That mysterious fog that was dropped on us.
Torn up about there being not enough vintage animations of beautiful women having sex with inanimate objects, then you can blame Mikhail Gorbachev.
Like, the animation wasn't bad to me. That's so odd. I don't know. Maybe
This entry doesn't actually refer to the video that exists on this URL, but rather there's a video with this URL as its title. This video happens to be a live stream that's scheduled to go live on April 10th, 2020. Now, you might notice immediately that April 10th, 2020 was
April 10th. My birthday was 2 days away after that.
4 years ago, or however long ago it was when you're already watching this. How does it still say it's scheduled for that time frame when the time frame has already passed? Well, it's because live streams can be scheduled, however they require the host to actually go live themselves. You can very easily schedule a live stream and then just not show up for it, and that's what this Zacharia Tangerino person did. Nothing too crazy.
Dang. It's literally like, it is beginning so, like, softly for the part that's supposed to be disturbing, so it's crazy. I'm like, this is just such a normal thing. The toys diddling the girl, that was extra. That was weird. Like, some top of the tier type stuff.
Pokemon texting videos refers to these bizarre videos on YouTube where people will create these fake text conversations surrounding characters from the Pokemon TV shows and video games. What I mean is that they'll essentially roleplay with—
That's crazy, because I feel like this has evolved into, like, people showing, like, the JJK or Jujutsu Kaisen, if you're familiar with, characters, like anime characters texting each other. So it's like this like trend has never gone away. It still happens, just in like a different form. Or they'll even do it with voice messages. Like, it literally switched to being done with AI now. Like, the AI voice stuff where, like, they're having a conversation with each other. That's literally just a glorified version of this, if anybody's ever thought of that.
With themselves, write fanfiction and upload it to YouTube. These will often be very long series, with each chapter of the fanfiction being a separate episode. Like the 15 parts
Okay, there's not like, yeah, I don't think there's like 50 parts, but yeah.
Series Deku X Flannery, where—
See, Deku! So they brought in My Hero— Damn, I kind of want to put this camera so you guys can see my hand. But, see, so they brought in Deku. So it evolved into, like, putting the Pokemon. I don't know what came first, really, but Pokemon. Now they're doing X Deku. And then it evolved. It keeps going, I don't know.
Flannery dates Deku from My Hero Academia, except Flannery apparently doesn't show up until episode 8, I guess. My biggest question with these videos is, why does it have to be texting? A lot of the time they won't actually talk like they're texting, and instead just they'll perform actions with asterisks and stuff like that, which ends up making them feel more like the two characters role-playing rather than actual interaction. Keep in mind, this isn't character AI or something like that, this is just one person doing this. I get that, like, for some people, it's cool to think what characters would talk about if they had each other.
Bro. What is this thirst trap? See, that Markiplier video was not far off, man.
There's phone number, I guess. I mean, after all, why would there be an app for it if no one wanted it? However, when they start role-playing, like they're talking face-to-face, doesn't that make it lose some of the immersion? I know I'm probably thinking too deep about this, but it's interesting to me. Like, how does this start? What made these people not just realize, wait a minute, I can go on Archive of Our Own or fanfiction.net or Wattpad or some shit? It's kind of baffling.
Octocat Adventures?
Octocat Adventure is a series of animations on YouTube by an 8-year-old boy from Chicago named Randy Peters, spanning 5 episodes throughout the year of 2008. It's notable for looking like that.
Oh, Octocat Adventure, Octocat Adventure, what are you doing, Octocat?
Finding my parents. Down here. What's in that book?
It surrounds an octopus cat named Octocat as he tries to find his missing parents, and along the way he meets some crazy characters. For the most part, it's pretty simplistic, with each episode having an MS Paint art style. That is, of course, until the last episode, when Octocat faces off against his final enemy and the animation just gets cracked. He walks through what's called the Door of Truth, and the series is suddenly, unironically, super well animated. The character design doesn't really change, but the art style is now this slick, well-choreographed 3D animation. After the release of Octocat Adventure Episode 5, the series creator, Randy Peters, was actually revealed to be a pseudonym of professional animator David O'Reilly.
David O'Reilly, great guy. David O'Reilly, great guy. David O'Reilly, great guy.
Who was most well known for creating everything. No, I've already made that joke. And also some other various projects, like the 3D animated episode of Adventure Time, the short animated film The External World, and many other projects. He created Octocat Adventures as a social experiment on how well a storyline could be perceived, despite how shitty what you're actually looking at seems to be, especially when it comes from a random person on YouTube with no industry ties or whatever. Octocat Adventures isn't really the most popular thing anymore. It kind of lost its luster once it was finished, and the only people who would watch it nowadays are the people who know about the twist. So no one really watches it blind. Nowadays, why would people watch it when they could just have some fucking dickhead YouTuber explain and spoil the premise to you? Which, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry for doing that, but also if this showed up in your recommended, would you really watch all 5 episodes? Actually, that's a dumb point, because I definitely would do that. Where was I? Oh yeah, David O'Reilly's experiment kind of worked. In 2008, when this series was airing, I guess, people stuck around ironically, and in the comment section, they hyped it up as a quote-unquote work of art. Until the last episode, where they unironically hyped it up as a quote-unquote work of art. Thing is, though, it was a work of art the entire time. Even if we ignore the final episode, it just didn't appear to be a very good one. So, think on that one for a little bit.
Yeah, wow. I might have to go watch those now.
Country-restricted channels are pretty self-explanatory, simply being when a YouTube channel is restricted from viewing in certain territories. Admittedly, this is a pretty rare one, as it's usually specific videos that are region-blocked, or just the platform as a whole, not channels, but by searching up "this channel is not available in your country," we can find some Reddit threads related to the issue. Like, for example, this one guy from 11 years ago couldn't get into the Yogscast channel because it says the channel isn't available in his country, aka the United States. Though it appears to be because he's trying to view the show Yogscast and not the channel, which is weird. I didn't know that was a thing. There's also this British dude who tried viewing a clip from Office Ladies and got hit with the message too. Since it's so rare, there's not a whole lot of information around about this one, but it's also not super interesting either, so, you know, whatever.
Yeah. We are chilling right now in the tier, bro. I was expecting crazy stuff. I'll go back to this camera. I was expecting some wild stuff, bro. We're not even scratching the surface yet. Disturbing.
We Teach You How To is a comedy channel created in 2012 that seemed to have been most popular on Tumblr. In every video, this guy puts on this plankton-ass voice and does strange tutorials on random things like how to face your fears, how to open the blinds, or how to help grandma clean around the house, name a few. It's definitely very indicative of mid-2010s YouTube humor, though it would never be nearly as popular
Some how-to basic.
as other tutorial parody channels like How To Basic or Alan Tutorial.
Yep.
Apparently, this channel is owned by Nyota, who is most well known for being the voice of, this guy from Conjun House. I've never watched Conjun House, but I'm sure this means something to some of you.
I have no idea. Homeless Toronto.
Homeless Toronto was a YouTube channel created in 2017 by a man named Anthony, who, since 2014, had been homeless in Toronto, Canada. Or, as he puts it, living outside. Except in his channel name, he calls himself homeless there. Anyways, this channel focuses around his daily routine living in the forest next to the Canadian highways. And what's interesting is that he seems pretty optimistic about it all. I'm not really sure if he chose to live like this, but it's definitely the impression I get from his general attitude. You know, he definitely seems more like a survivalist type rather than a fallen on bad times kind of guy. Or has fallen on bad times and is just really positive about it. I definitely respect it either way. In 2017, he stopped posting after surviving through the harsh Canadian winter. I have no idea what happened to him. Apparently, he started a new channel after this, but that channel seems to no longer exist, so one can only hope that he found a place for himself and that he didn't, like, get arrested for making a cabin out of election signs.
He made it a cabin out
YouTube.com
of
is a video sharing site pretty much every internet goer is familiar with that's been around since 2005. But did you know about a lesser known site that's been around since the mid-1990s called YouTube.com? What the fuck? YouTube.com, with the letter U instead of the word, is surprisingly not a case of cyber squatting or domain spoofing, but rather is a legitimate company website that has existed for 10 years longer than YouTube, the video sharing platform. Short for, of course, Universal Tube and Roll Form Equipment. The company specializes in tubes and pipes and shit like that. I don't think it's any stretch to say that they were well within their right to have that domain name, and it's a ridiculously unfortunate coincidence. Prior to the creation of the video sharing site YouTube, the Tube YouTube would average around 1,500 users a month, although after 2005 and 2006, the traffic would skyrocket to 2 million average users a month. You might think that's a good thing, since, you know, free advertising. However, their servers were clearly not built for this, and the existence of the bigger YouTube would render Universal Tube's site completely unusable. Their site was one of their main ways of contacting their customers, which meant that they would lose a ridiculous amount of money thanks to the confusion. Apparently, according to a statement by company Ralph Gherkins, Universal Tube was even contacted by Australian police accusing them of having CP on their website, which is like fucking insane. Not only is the company based in Ohio, so I don't know why Australians are getting involved, but why the hell would this site have CP on it? That's such an insane allegation that's so obviously untrue. Did people just really hate the idea of someone else having a site called YouTube? So with all this pressure piling up on top of them, Universal Tube and Rollform Equipment had no choice but to sue YouTube. The lawsuit asked that YouTube stop using YouTube.com or pay Universal Tube money so they can rebrand to a new name. I'm of the opinion that this was a fairly justified thing to do when I put myself in Ralph Gherkin's shoes. While I don't think it was really the fault of Javed Karim or the other two guys who co-founded YouTube that didn't make me at the zoo, I do think there's something to be said about the hopelessness that comes with something like that. From what I can gather, a settlement was reached and Universal Tube effectively lost, since they went for a lawsuit just after YouTube was bought by Google. So close, but no cigar. At some point, they changed their name to YouTubeOnline.com, though to this day, typing YouTube.com into your browser will bring up the Universal Tube and Roll From Equipment website. The amount of traffic nowadays isn't really an issue, I'd imagine, since everyone knows how to spell YouTube, and servers have just generally gotten a lot better in the past 2 decades or so. Now it stands as one of those funny tidbits of information about the .com era. I still think Microsoft was a funnier bit, though.
Microsoft versus Microsoft.
Living Alone with a Cat is a Japanese YouTube channel that focuses around a person who lives alone with their cat. Clearly, they're very bored, so they like fucking around with their cat. Their most popular work is,
Oh no, man. Alright, are we getting disturbing yet? Because I could see where people messing with cats can get disturbing. There was a guy on YouTube that got banned, right, for the, like, he was doing things to cats.
Well, I'll just let you see it.
Very nice.
This guy has over 500 videos, and most of them are just him farting in his cat's face. I really wish I could tell you that this is the worst thing that happens to a cat on this iceberg. This is the video of the Japanese dude
The guy I mentioned is probably going to be on this list, isn't he, then?
running through the tunnel, screaming about how much he wants to have sex.
It's a Japanese dude running through tunnel. I don't know. I don't feel like copy pasting. What is it pasting? Paste.
There's a good chance you've seen this before and are scratching your head on why it's so low, considering how popular of a meme it's become in recent years. I can only imagine this wasn't a super popular video when it was put on the Iceberg, especially judging from the fact that it was apparently first discovered on r/deep into YouTube. The uploader, Fumin, actually grew his entire channel off this one bit. Most of his videos involve him running through somewhere and screaming in the same inflection about how he wants to have sex. So if you wanted more videos like that, then he definitely doesn't disappoint. I think I briefly talked about this a few parts ago, but I'll explain it fully just to be clear. Read more screamers are one of the many consequences of the redesign of the YouTube comment section following the implementation of Google+. In the first 4 years of the redesign, links to YouTube videos and comments would display as the video's name rather than a URL. And as you probably know, when a comment is too long, a read more prompt appears, where if you click it, you'll be able to see the rest of the message. These two things led to quite a nasty combo, where people would make YouTube videos simply titled Read More, that contained things like Jeff the Killer flashing image screamers and stuff like that. They would then link them in the comments, and people would click on them expecting to see the rest of their comment, only to get jump scared. It's one of the many oversights of the Google Plus integration, along with just the general idea of the integration being really dumb.
Yo, that image used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid, bro.
Before we begin this entry, I'd like to tell you this one's really gross and weird. You have been warned. Zach Restored is a channel I'm struggling to find out where to even start talking about. The first thing you'll notice is... Okay, well, maybe not the first thing you'll notice, but the first thing I'm going to talk about in order to ease you in is the channel description. Since this is a taboo topic to discuss in my native culture, USA/America, I always make sure to use medicinally appropriate language in my videos when answering questions. I am sharing my experience to help others like me who have a desensitized penis and uncomfortably tight erections with their scrotum being pulled awkwardly forward, often called turkey neck or webbed penis. I hope I inspire others to successfully deal with and heal from this serious but underappreciated body positivity and gender equality issue. Now, I don't know what turkey neck...
What are we about to get into? I don't know what turkey neck or webbed penis is either. I've never heard of this. What in the hell are we about to see, bro? This is about to be it right here. We got pretty far into the video, so let me pause just to save the footage and let's get ready. I remember I had, actually, around 6 months ago when I was catching up, I had like the footage lost. Do you guys remember that?
Neck or webbed penis means, but this guy's channel focuses around anti-circumcision. Dude's foreskin got chopped off when he was a baby, and as a result, he's extremely mournful over what he considers to be his greatest loss. Which, like, man, I kinda get it. I mean, it was clearly taken from you against your consent, but it's not like the biggest loss in the world.
Whoa. His channel is called Zach Restored. Do not tell me he's tried to find some medical way or some, like, organic medical way to restore his foreskin, brother.
World. Clearly, Zach would disagree with this, though. Linked in his channel description is norm.org, which stands for the National Organization of Restoring Men, an organization dedicated to providing support for men who are devastated at the fact that they are circumcised, and even provide information about the process of foreskin restoration. This is a fucking huge rabbit hole. Apparently, this foreskin restoration process they speak of isn't a surgical process, as you might imagine, and instead they advised the use of some fucking doohickeys to get your weenie wrapper back. Listed on Norm's website is several images and links.
What is this? Do you see these tools? Bro, what am I looking at? Is it a bunch of stretching and can't?
To these devices, which I'm only going to show on screen rather than explain how they work. Not because I'll get demonetized or anything, but because the mere thought of any of these things interacting with someone's cock and balls, it makes my entire body shrivel up. Like, you look at some of these and you think, like, man, there's no way that sticking my dick in that would end well in the slightest. These are, at best, fleshlights, and at worst, fucking nightmare contraptions. Most of these are meant to be worn at almost...
Why did they give this one eyes, man? Yo, what the fuck am I looking at? It appears from all the evidence that a good fast production regimen is to apply moderate tension, 8 to 14 ounces for 10 to 12 hours a day, and then for the remainder of the day use a retainer to keep the glands covered 5 days. Oh my!
All times of day, taken off only to go to sleep. So you'll have to forgive me for not being super receptive to the idea of going to these websites and researching further. Plus, the first website I clicked on had a chatbot pop up asking if I needed any help browsing foreskin restoration device.
I thought he was gonna read the rest. Hang on, I kind of want to read that.
At worst, all times.
Okay, 5 days a week seems to produce acceptable results. The tension need only be 5 days a week while awake. To attempt to restore 24/7 is counterproductive for several reasons, including We all need time to bathe, urinate, and enjoy sexual activities. Although we all want instant results, restoration does not happen that way. It took about 20 years to grow enough skin to keep your whole body covered from birth to adulthood. So it'll take some time to permanently lengthen your shaft tissue.
Of day, taken off only to go to sleep. So you'll have to forgive me for not being super receptive to the idea of going to these websites and researching further. Plus, the first website I clicked on had a chatbot pop up asking if I needed any help browsing foreskin restoration devices, and I got scared. Next, I checked out the website's frequently asked questions, where they reiterate that it probably shouldn't hurt. They also have a small glossary of terms used within the foreskin restoration community, like the CI index.
Please let this be some... I know an ARG is usually like horror related or some sort of alternate reality, obviously ARG. But like, let this be some weird, like maybe not. Like, I know because of just the place we call Earth, anything is possible. So this is probably 100% real. But I don't know, man.
Which is a system developed to measure on a scale of 1 to 10 how much foreskin coverage natural or restored one has, as well as the acronym COT.
COT, bro.
Keep on tugging.
No way that's real, bro. Keep on tugging, bro. There's no way.
Which is so funny because it sounds like a crypto bro stock trading kind of thing to say.
Yeah.
But it's about getting your fucking foreskin back. The purpose of this website, at least to me, is very obviously to sell products. They even have sections on the website dedicated to telling circumcised men what they're missing out on by not doing the restoration process. Obviously, you can't actually grow back your foreskin, no matter how much
you stretch.
No matter how much you caught. It's not a lizard's tail. So they use these really weird contraptions that reshape the skin to make it seem like it's grown back.
You did not put a fucking pottery video, Sway. I'm actually hurt by that. He put a fucking pottery video, dude. Are you gonna make a clay innuendo real quick, bro? Like some fucking molding your dick back to its native form.
It's a really weird grift. Where was I? Oh yeah, this is a YouTube Iceberg video. Zach Restored, right? So this dude has playlists on his main page of other people's videos. The first one has videos containing topics such as pro foreskin and anti-circumcision, done by YouTubers and regular people.
So this
the second one has
guy
educational videos that dispel myths about what foreskin is. And finally, the last one talks about the main event, non-surgical foreskin restoration. The actual videos on Zach Restored channel focus around tutorials on how to use these thingamajigs. In these videos, you would be shocked to find he doesn't use a banana or hot dog or some other vaguely penis-shaped object so he doesn't get his channel taken down. But he just has his fucking dick out in every single one of his videos.
Way.
He also
No way!
helicopters in every single one of his videos for no reason. I guess he's just showing off. I can't show you any of his videos, obviously, but you
Yeah.
can easily search it up on YouTube yourself if you're really super interested. It's for some reason still up. I don't think this is actually true because I made it up in my head, but I like to think at some point he got his channel taken down for violating terms of service or whatever, and then he just made the second channel called Zach Restored, which is a great name.
I'm not really interested in seeing some fucking random guy's meat on the internet, but I've got to see if this is for real, bro. What is this Iceberg, dude? My FBI agent is gonna be going crazy right now, but we're seeing it together, brother. No fucking way, dude. No way. No way. This ain't, there's no way. My man has his PP. What, bro? And okay, so I just looked at the thumbnail. What? And his something was stretched. What the fuck?
because it refers to both his YouTube channel and his foreskin. Jesus Christ, this video is gonna have such a...
Like, hang on, is it not taken down because YouTube fucking makes it? Oh my gosh. I might have to do this in 2 parts for y'all. Just so, like, you can watch this and be like, cliffhanged for the next part, which I'm assuming it's gonna get disturbing. We're almost at the midway point. But, bro, what? Because I get that, like, I don't know if it was actually covered earlier in the tiers because there's so much information to kind of sift back through. But the videos of, like women who could do, like, the breastfeeding videos and stuff. So, like, it's those videos I don't see anything wrong with, but, like, can have, like, your just full boobs out because it's for medical purposes, or not medical, educational purposes. So, like, is Zach Restored found some sort of foreskin loophole, bro?
Fucking insane tone shift when I get to the end of this tier.
Oh, an insane tone shift when we get to... Okay. Peaches.
The song Rub by the music artist Peaches has one of the strangest music videos
What
YouTube
the
has ever
fuck?
seen. The song itself is quite sexual, as you can imagine, with lyrics
Oh,
describing
wow.
a bunch of women circle jerking around a single man. The music video, on the other hand, is pretty much a huge orgy in the desert, uncensored. I'm kinda shocked this was ever up on YouTube at all, since it is basically just porn, even if it is done for artistic merit. I don't really know what else to say about this video. It's obviously no longer up on YouTube, but it still exists on Vimeo if you really want to go search for it.
I don't. I was actually piqued my interest for a second to be like, how the fuck did this get on YouTube? And now we're going into hentai on YouTube. Here we go.
Hentai on YouTube. At this point, it shouldn't really surprise you. There have been a couple of entries on this Iceberg relating to people managing to sneak various forms of pornography onto YouTube, including the very last entry we just covered. I don't think it can really be overstated how much porn there is on YouTube, though. By looking up MMDR18 on YouTube, we can find playlists of hundreds of videos. It's ridiculous, and also I didn't even know there was MMD porn. You'd think people would just use Miku Miku dance for characters dancing.
Harrison Briggs.
Harrison Briggs is a YouTuber who used to upload but no longer does. Essentially, he believes himself to be a victim of gang stalking, which is, in short, a belief that many people afflicted with mental illness have. Which
I guess I have mental illness because I don't know. When I told my story of what happened to me, somebody actually told me the term gang stalking, and I looked into it and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And also, the only reason, maybe I'm not supposed to be saying this, maybe I am, maybe I'm protected, maybe I'm not, maybe they got curious about my friend and I, but we have a lot of weird, I feel like, interactions with people close to us who happen to be not close, but Freemasons. So that's all I'm gonna say, because I don't think that would get me. I don't know, but look, if this whole government surveillance thing is going on, I kind of believe some of the people who say it, but I believe that there are probably people with mental illness that latch onto certain things, and because of the mental illness, they can hyperfixate on something that is gang stalking. But I definitely believe people are being gang stalked, and then also I think other forms of it are like when. Like, what was that one Hollywood actor that was random, like, running out saying they're trying to kill me? I believe that's also gang stalking where, and then that person mysteriously ends up dead.
which dictates that they're a targeted individual who's being routinely stalked, harassed, and or followed by a mysterious, unknowable group of people, even when there's not much evidence of this at all. However, he wasn't always like this. In one of his earlier videos, circa 2013, he explains that at some point in his life, he was falsely accused of sexual assault by a woman named Lisa, and that for the past 22 years, his life had been made into a living hell as a result of the lie being perpetrated. It was for this reason that for the past 10 years, and possibly more if this has been going on for longer than his YouTube channel has existed, that Harrison Briggs began traveling all across the United States of America, leading a nomadic lifestyle. According to him, he's being chased by a group he calls cultists, led by a person named Agent Mueller, who...
Oh, so yeah, for how it was introduced to me was that gang stalking was literally a government term. So yeah, and I don't know, like the things I was saying in my video, these were more private videos when I said it, but I don't really care now. I would have this black car, all blacked out, black windows, and like my friend also, that would watch us, like nothing else, watch us, and it would like sit outside my house, and it only started when I got deeper into the metaphysical videos and like talking about it on an old channel. It literally, the synchronicity only happened when we started doing that. So it was very
do things like pull his hair out when he's not looking, drug him, brainwash him, and hypnotize him. He also believes that there are documentaries and TV shows, and that the cultists torturing him are actually celebrities. However, he's locked in some kind of an information vacuum, as he puts it, where he is forbid from learning more, and some kind of Truman Show-esque circumstance. He can afford these trips he takes across the country by begging his parents for money, and when they don't give it to him, they're obviously clones of his real parents to him. Harrison's story is ridiculously convoluted and hard
Okay, yeah, he's literally like mentally ill.
to follow, especially
Hang on a second. Let me finish this and then...
given the nature of his videos and just general attitude and way of speaking. He's always frantic, and most of the things he talks about are completely made up. And it's nigh impossible to make out what's real about his life story and what he imagined. Hell, it's even hard for him to make out what's gone on in his life. Even more than that, a lot of his videos have been deleted off YouTube with no archive. I would recommend checking out I Am Sir Zach's video on this for more information.
Okay, 1 second. Alrighty, let's get it.
Teenage Mutant Skullfuckers is an entry that Google will tell you is a Potted Plant song. Potted Plant named a song after this video, and it's the first thing Google wants to show you with that name for some reason. But what exactly is Teenage Mutant Skullfuckers, as in the original video?
It's so fitting for it's so fitting for the tier because the album is called Self-Insertion into My Own Personal Hell.
Google wants to show you with that name for some reason. But what exactly is Teenage Mutant Skullfuckers, as in the original video? Well, if you absolutely must know, it's an old shock video created by the British artist James Unsworth. It features, as you might imagine, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or rather, 4 men dressed in these really creepy, poorly made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costumes with...
This is all I'm showing you of this video. I hope you don't mind looking at this image for a bit. Nah, it's all good.
Huge fake penises just kind of hanging out, eating pizza and reading porno mags. You know, the shit they do in the real show. Then Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello all gang up on Leonardo. They push him to the ground, begin to beat him up, or stab him repeatedly, sexually assault him, and then finally chop his head off and, well, you know, Teenage Mutant Skullfuck it. And then it finally ends with all of them spraying all over his dead body. The video is only 1.5 minutes long and is so clearly obviously fake. I probably have to explain that since I still can't show any of it here, but if you go searching for it yourself, you can immediately tell it's fake. I mean, outside of the fact that the Ninja Turtles aren't real, the practical effects are just laughably bad, which kind of seems like the point. Needless to say, this video has been taken down from YouTube, not because of any violation of terms of service, but because Nickelodeon, or rather its parent company Viacom, really did not appreciate James Unsworth making this kind of art related to their franchise. And I say art and not porn because this is actually an art piece, as in it was featured in its very own art exhibit, being James Unsworth's Ninja Turtle Sex Museum, alongside many other gross, sexually explicit drawings of the heroes in a half shell. I mean, you can't say it's not evocative. I would say that Viacom is justified in taking this guy's whole Ninja Turtle thing down, given that he not only uses the
Viacom, bro.
vague image of characters and merchandise, and also pretty much the exact same name, meaning that some people would find them and mistake them for real products. However, I'd be lying if I said I wanted to side with Viacom, because fuck Viacom. They almost killed YouTube as a whole in the mid-2000s. Don't think I forgot about that. James Unsworth
Viacom, man. Viacom, bro. It just makes me think about the stuff, this world.
was prevented from using that particular IP in his art, and I think he strayed away from
I gotta clear my throat. Give me a second, guys. It did not work.
using anyone else's IP too. Nowadays he has a website where he posts his gross erotic art. Gross intentionally, I should add. At this point in the series, I can't really hate on something for being gross unless it's like, you know, real.
A terribly disturbing ego battle.
The rest of this tier is probably the most disturbing chunk of the iceberg,
here we go.
if we
Okay.
haven't already passed it. None of these really feel good to talk about, and you'd be forgiven for just stopping the video right here if you're not comfortable with heavy stuff. Don't say I didn't warn you.
So now, question. Would I be an asshole for cutting this part right now and getting y'all ready for the next part, man? Slowly teasing you. I mean, I'll shoot the next part right after. I won't upload it for a couple days. You know how us YouTubers do. No, but honestly, I may chop it up into 2 parts and then just try to, when I hit tier 10, just one shot all of them. One shot all of them so I'm caught up. I mean, I technically am one-shotting them. You guys just aren't seeing that because of the upload. I'm gonna divide this one. I know I said no, but I have to stay on what I said. I'll stand on what I said. Let's get it.
That's the second time I say that in this video.
Stand
With
on
all
this.
that being said, a terribly disturbing ego battle is a video uploaded by Active Self-Protection in 2021. This video is an analysis of a clip of an escalated street fight. The clip begins with a couple and their next door
Oh
neighbor
no, it looked like somebody had a gun.
shouting at each other from across the street, calling each other names and even slurs. According to the narration,
Whoops, I missed that at the bottom because my microphone's in the way. Another vid, I'm only going to show a single frame for obvious reasons.
the argument started over snow. A couple kept shoveling snow into the guy's driveway, and it just kind of escalated from there to the point where they start bullying each other. At some point, the man finally snaps. He goes into his house and comes out back with a handgun. He warns them to stop shouting at him, and they don't, so he begins to fire warning shots at them, and then finally real shots. After they survive the interaction, they're somehow still shouting at him, so he goes back inside again, takes out a rifle, and says, "You should have kept your fucking mouth shut," before killing them both. Finally, he goes back inside one last time and presumably takes his own life to avoid persecution. The general response to this video is really weird. Most of the people in the comments are more focusing on the couple for escalating things rather than the guy, even though they both definitely escalated the situation. I mean, only one of these people pulled out not one, but 2 firearms.
Okay, hang on. The shortcut was because I was clicked on the OBS, so I paused it really quickly. But what I meant to say, so if there was like a weird cut there, all right, 2 very clear things that equalize men, all men, animals, beasts included, and probably extraterrestrial creatures, are firearms, a Smith & Wesson. I could see if they knew this neighbor or how long they lived together. If they knew, oh, I should have coughed out that phlegm. No, I swallowed it. Whatever. If they knew that this neighbor was odd, you of course don't escalate, which is unfortunate, but it's almost like cause and effect. They got what was coming to them. Now they didn't deserve to lose their life. Please, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think anyone deserves that. Even if they escalated it, that's actually why I'm making this entire point. But if they knew, maybe they didn't know he was a gun owner. But also the fact that they still shouted after surviving the gunshots, it's like they were asking to die. They obviously didn't have any lessons or common sense, and maybe we should chill out. I mean, he fired warning shots. I would have to watch the video. I don't know how fast each moment took. Like, he shot warning shots, and then they kept yelling, and then he just shot them. That's foul. Like, no one deserves to get their life taken for this. Like, that's crazy. Like, they escalated it and were being assholes and probably being the worst Karens and Kevin on the planet. But to get shot at, I mean, the warning shots, I could get that, try to scare them. They obviously weren't scared. But I mean, then it's like, if he actually went and shot them, did they not know they were living next to somebody with a little bit of mental illness? I mean, maybe somebody, I'm not saying the guy did, I'm fully assuming right now, but I'm just saying, like, nothing gave it off that maybe we probably shouldn't have provoked this guy. I don't know.
Who's pointing a handgun at your face to quote-unquote do it, pussy, is a really, really dumb move, no matter how you look at it. Either way, this video is not a fun watch, and I wouldn't recommend searching it up for yourself. It's kind of like the brick video, where you can't see anything graphic really, but you can definitely hear it. Good God, can you hear it?
I think I've seen that video. But I get now why it's called the disturbing ego battle, because, like, because their egos were in it. That's what I'm kind of saying. Like, you have to take your ego out of shit. There's nothing ever that serious over taking someone's life, and it's never that serious to be shouting at a guy with a gun in your face. I don't know. Very serious ego battle. Is that actually what it's called? I want to find it. Oh, it's a terribly disturbing ego battle. Did I say that? Did I read that wrong? I'm over here trying to talk and it is called it, yeah. I have to sign in. Alright, hang on, I'm gonna pause and watch this. I've actually seen this video. Someone said it, the only fight you're guaranteed to win is the one you walk away from. So yeah. Look, little advice for someone who haven't been in many conflict. If someone runs back to their house or car when they are obviously very angry, they aren't running away. They're going to grab something to hurt you. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, they didn't deserve to lose their life. But at the same time, dude, that's karma. Like, karma was coming. Because who does, like, your ego, you got to keep your ego out of it, to be honest. And that's why it's like, I feel bad because I'm against the loss of life, but it's also like, read the room. You got to have like situational awareness. And also, it's never that serious, dude. It is never that serious. Because, yeah, man, it's just never that serious. And this is coming from someone who's just had conflicts in the past and pretty wild situations. So it's like, you know, and every time, man, every time you got to be calm, cool, and collected and just not, you know, I don't know. Or if you're gonna yell like that, why aren't you armed yourself? No, I'm just joking. But I mean, actually kind of serious. Like, I don't know, man. It's weird, dude. Gotta zen, gotta meditate. That's why I talk about mastering your mind. It's never that serious, bro. It's never that serious.
This entry requires a bit of backstory to understand fully. Lost cosmonauts, also known as phantom cosmonauts, refers to a conspiracy theory that originated in the late 1950s to early 1960s. If you paid attention in history class, you're most likely familiar with the fact that the first man to exit the atmosphere and enter outer space was a Soviet cosmonaut named Yuri Gagarin. Cosmonaut literally just being the term for Russian and Soviet astronauts. Anyways, the conspiracy theory states that Yuri Gagarin was not the first person in space, but rather the first one to survive the trip. If the theory were true, then it would mean that the Soviet government would have suppressed information surrounding the deaths of several people in outer space. Which, to be fair, the Soviet government had somewhat of a knack for suppressing information, so it's not necessarily out of the question. One of the biggest pieces of evidence for the lost cosmonauts theory is the recordings done by two Italian amateur radio operators, Achille and Giovanni Battista. Their story is that they were listening in on radio frequencies with hobbled-together, scavenged equipment when they came across audio of a panicked woman, which is the audio that this Iceberg entry is specifically referring to. If this audio was real, it would mean that Yuri Gagarin was not the first person in space, but rather this unnamed woman. Not only that, but it would mean that there's existent audio of her thought process as her space shuttle fails. The audio is genuinely horrifying. The description has a translation of most of what she's saying. She keeps repeating over and over again that she feels hot, and that she can see fire, and she keeps asking if she's going to crash. Now, there's a pretty good chance this audio is fake. Most native Russian speakers will tell you that the woman speaking isn't very good at speaking Russian, which would be weird for a Soviet person. Some of the grammar's a little broken, and the woman is speaking in a rather informal tone to the space station, which, I mean, could be that she's currently burning alive, but still. The accent is also noticeably Italian. Plus, the whole story is just kind of ridiculous, right? A bunch of amateurs picking up on recordings of dead cosmonauts that the Soviet government tried to pick up, but somehow the US government didn't know how to pick up on them. Lastly, I don't know if you knew this, but the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed for a while. A lot of restricted and covered-up information has been declassified as a result of the fall of the Soviet Union, and none of the lost cosmonaut theories have ever been confirmed. Yeah, the most likely explanation is that the brothers just made up some shit because they wanted to be famous. But still, even if it's fake, the recording, along with the basic concept, is still pretty disturbing. Like, imagine being the first woman in space, and possibly the first person in space, and then just burning to death up there with no one ever remembering your name. Shit's fucked.
That is dark. Alrighty.
M.N. Vijayan was an Indian public speaker, author, and journalist, and he was a fairly influential person in his country, winning awards, writing a whole number of books, and becoming the president of the Progressive Arts and Literary Organization. He was very passionate, and he would hold press conferences and public speaking sessions until his very last breath. Literally. M.N. Vijayan Expired, Last Moments of M.N. Vijayan, is a video that no longer exists on YouTube. Re-uploads exist everywhere. In the video, he's speaking to an audience, and almost mid-sentence, his eyes widen and his eyes roll back into his head. Turns out it was a heart attack, and he had passed away live on television. Definitely not a comfortable watch, even if the main upload is mostly censored. Also, not much else to say about this one.
honest.
This was the entry I said in the last video that I would save for this part because it really didn't fit in part 2, and you'll see why very soon. Yannis Paraskakis was a 27-year-old man from the Greek island of Crete who ran a YouTube channel. If you go to his channel now, which is surprisingly still up, you'll only notice 3 videos of this white dude dressing up like a Chinese monk and performing martial arts body poses, which is kind of funny, but before this, Yannis actually had a lot of deleted videos on his channel. These wouldn't be anything too disturbing, mainly just being videos of him hanging out with his friends, exploring weird areas around his island, among other things. His editing style was pretty comical, and from watching these videos, you wouldn't really suspect that his channel is weird at all. All things considered, it's a pretty normal vlogging channel, and Yannis clearly had aspirations to be a popular YouTuber. However, around 2019, one thing in one of the videos stood out to people following some recent news around the island. Suzanne Eaton was an American molecular biologist who was staying in Crete for a university conference, and on July 22nd, 2019, she disappeared mysteriously. It took police 6 days to find her body, which was being stored inside of the remains of an obscure remote Nazi bunker from World.
She was a molecular biologist at the world-renowned. Is it Max Planck? What? It's too interesting. She was attending a conference when she went missing. Hold on a second. We're gonna go down a rabbit hole. See, this is stuff I want to do on my own, bro. They study the structure of biological. Okay.
World War II. There were clear signs of death by asphyxiation, and there were also stab wounds all along her body, along with broken bones, bruises, a bloodied face, and even evidence
Don't tell me this YouTuber was like a Luigi situation.
of sexual assault. Whatever the way she
Even though, never mind, no comment.
died had to have been incredibly gruesome and horrific, considering she would have to have lived through all those things before dying slowly to suffocation inside the bunker. Now, like I said, the bunker she had been thrown into was incredibly obscure, and basically no one knew about its location, including locals. It was on the side of the road, in the middle of nowhere, and obviously it was pretty well hidden, considering it was used for war. That being said, one person very noticeably knew a lot about it. Of course, it was Yannis Paraskakis. The bunker would be one of his most common places to film videos, and he even had several videos dicking around in there, both by himself and with his friends. Soon after Suzanne Eaton disappeared is when he deleted all of his videos, outside of the monk ones. Still don't know what the deal is with those. Clearly, big shiny arrows were pointing at Yannis at this point, and so he was taken into questioning, where he pretty much admitted to everything. He saw her walking on the side of the road late at night and began to run into her repeatedly with his car, before stabbing and sexually assaulting her, and then he dumped her in a ditch near the bunker, leaving her to die. So yeah, pretty horrific death, and came as a huge surprise to those who knew Yannis
Priest's son gets life? It's a priest's son.
personally, as they considered him a pretty positive person, though he was apparently previously arrested for arson and killing animals. Whatever the case, his
It was probably some signs there. He was recently arrested for arson and killing animals. So maybe he wanted to evolve his interests into killing humans. I don't know, man. I usually like to find some deeper thing about something because I was like, okay, she's a molecular, biologist. Okay, would someone want her gone? I could see cases where they are, but this doesn't even feel like Luigi. This just feels like maybe you go down a rabbit hole and find something pretty sad. I don't know if she discovered something that would have her, wiped out. Like you get on an airplane with a bunch of doctors that cured cancer, and you take that flight. Yeah, your flight's going down. You're dying. But I don't know. This just seems like fucking an unfortunate fucking run-in, dude. What was the story again? What happened? Hold on.
pointing at Yannis at this point, and so he was taken into questioning, where he pretty much admitted to everything. He saw her walking on the side of the road late at night and began to
She was walking on the side of the road late at night.
run into her repeatedly with his car, before stabbing and sexually assaulting her.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let my conspiracy theory brain fucking go into this. It's just unfortunate. That's so dumb. Like, to hit her repeatedly with his car, assault her, SA her. Did he stab then Come on, bro. Yeah.
And then he dumped her
This is the tier. That shit is just a despicable human, bro. I don't even want to. I'm like, my brain is trying to register how someone like this exists. I don't understand this stuff, bro. Like, I get it. I get it in the way that it's like, it's two sides, bro. You're gonna have, if you're gonna have, it's polarity. If you're gonna have extremely good people in this world, there's gonna be extremely fucked up people, dude.
in a ditch near the
Ironically, he was a pretty positive dude. This is why I say you've got to watch. You don't have to watch people like Paranoid, but you have to be cautious of certain individuals that come off with positivity, dude. But that,
bunker, leaving her to die. So yeah, pretty horrific death. And
like, and you know how you can trust me? Because I'm telling you, even watch me, bro.
came as a huge surprise to those who knew Giannis personally, as they considered him a pretty positive person, though he was apparently previously arrested for arson and killing animals. Whatever the case, his channel still remains up to date as a grim reminder.
Kevin Cosgrove.
Kevin Cosgrove 9/11 phone call is a video uploaded in 2012 that,
YouTube doesn't like it when I show this, but I think we all know what this looks like.
for
bro.
some reason, has a 9/11 GIF with an E-Bombs World watermark on it. I'm sorry, I'm just too distracted by that. E-Bombs World watermarks are like the iFunny watermarks of the 2000s. Anyways, what this video actually is a call to 911 on September 11th from inside the South Tower at the World Trade Center by business executive and father of three Kevin Cosgrove. As you might know, the opposite North Tower was the first one to be hit, so he frantically called for help. There wasn't much the operators could do. He was stuck on the 105th floor, and elevators lost power after the first plane hit. Smoke was rising and blowing into the floor Kevin was on, so he was frustrated and confused, lashing out at the operator and the firefighters. The operator was clearly just doing her job, but I'm gonna take a gander and say he wasn't thinking very straight in the moment. Finally, the recording ends when, at the end, he screams, "Oh God," presumably from the second plane hitting the tower. The video is probably one of the most horrific things you can listen to online, up there with the brick video mentioned a few tiers back. It really sets into perspective just how terrible the tragedy was, since I feel like most people kind of have somewhat of a disconnect to the whole thing, as it feels like something that would happen in a movie rather than real life, and it's usually talked about as more of a political event than anything else. However, this video is one of the most humanizing perspectives on the tragedy.
I mean, do you see all the footage now surfacing about people saying that there were detonations that happened in the towers? I think we are in the age of everything coming to light. It's sad that, you know, like, I seen a video of a comedian literally talking about the event, or like, well, she brought it up, and there was a guy there that looked stressed and was drinking heavily, and you can find this video, and he was a military veteran. And he talked about when this happened, and everyone in the crowd, even the comedian, was like, "Yo, I feel like you're telling us something we're not supposed to be listening to." I got chills right now in my arms, because it's like, you know what makes that event darker, and how panicked everyone sounds on the phone, and the people in the buildings that were lost, is what makes it even more terrifying. Is that I'm gonna just say that it's crazy to think now, with more evidence coming out of the news clips that were being hidden from the public about that event, is that it's getting remotely close to being, you can't say for sure ever, but it's oddly suspicious how close it's getting to be revealed that it's something that your own government would do to its people, huh? Just for laughs, I'm joking. They would never, but it's just very odd that a lot of people, even firefighters in accounts, said there was a detonation. There was a detonation in the elevators from below, and they seen, I think one dude seen someone come running out. Look, I don't know, man. There's a lot of odd stuff, man. A lot of odd stuff. I don't know. It was a horribly tragic event, and what makes it more tragic to me is if the conspiracy was true. I'm not saying it's true, but if it was true, it's a little bit scary to think that this is what a body of people would do to their own people. Couple of lives for the lives of many. Control the lives of many. Imagine being someone who had to make that choice. What's a few hundred lives for an event that would impact millions? That's a question I always ask myself when people brought the conspiracy to me, if it was true or not. Was, you know, that's the question that instantly like rose in my head about a government. You know, what's a few hundred lives to save millions, or to control millions? The perception of millions. I don't know. I don't know. That event is always dark to me.
Yuri
That's what I think
Lipsky's
about.
fatal diving accident caught on tape was uploaded in 2008 and is another video that captures someone's final moments that exists on YouTube, which seems to be a growing trend for the end of this tier, though for this one, his death is not actually captured on film. Yuri Lipsky was a 22-year-old Russian diving instructor who was going diving in the Blue Hole, an area of the Red Sea in Egypt. This video is still pretty terrifying, especially for anyone with thalassophobia, fear of the deep, dark ocean. He's swimming around pretty normally, but at some point he begins descending involuntarily, eventually hitting the ocean floor. According to a comment on the video, Yuri dove without monitoring the ascension rate, meaning he had no idea how fast he was going down. As he descends, the oxygen becomes intoxicating, which meant that he was in a hallucinogenic and drunk state the further he went down. By the time he realized he was too far down, it was already too late. Which helps make sense of the video, since all you can really see is him sinking. Man, drowning has to be one of the worst ways to die.
Bro, yes. Bro, that's horrible.
Birth in Nature, Natural Birth is a video that no longer exists on YouTube.
Why is this on IMDb?
It was uploaded by 43-year-old Utah resident and mother Simone Thurber. For some reason, she was really obsessed with the idea of giving birth in nature rather than in a hospital, like our ancestors used to do. So that's exactly what she did. In 2013, a 22-minute-long home video was uploaded to her YouTube channel, Birth in Nature, where she gives birth in nature. More specifically, a creek in the Australian Daintree rainforest. There's no doctor, no midwife, not even any painkillers present, just her husband, nature, and the 50 million people who watched the video when it was uploaded to YouTube. She could not have expected the amount of press it got, with news articles being written about her up the ass. To be fair, it was kind of a dumb decision. Had something gone wrong, it would have been very, very difficult to get a doctor to come to some remote stream.
Wait, she had a doula? Wait. She insists she's not a hippie, drippy mom, but she wanted her fourth child to be born away from beeping machines in a hospital environment. That's fair. A trained doula, a person who, yeah, my cousin is a doula.
Even Australia. The baby, or even Simone herself, could have died from the procedure, so I don't really know what she was thinking, but the kid is apparently healthy now and no one got hurt, so good for her, I guess. The video was surprisingly on YouTube for years before being taken down for violating community guidelines. I imagine it exists in a kind of gray area where it could be considered educational, which is why they took so long to take it down. I feel like there was a lot more birth videos on YouTube back in the day. I remember being like 11 and watching videos of funny dogs, and then accidentally stumbling on a video of a dog giving birth and not knowing what the hell was going on.
Oddly same.
Good times.
What the fuck? Oddly same.
Back in Tier 6, I discussed the shock video 1444. For those who don't recall, it's a short video where a man sitting on his couch pulls out a shotgun and shoots himself in the head. It was up on YouTube for a few days and is considered to be one of the most infamous shock videos of all time. While it's no longer up, people searching for it might be met with a different video called 1001444, which isn't the same, but if you searched 1444 hoping to find a fucked up video of something dying, you wouldn't exactly feel ripped off by clicking on this video. In this 4-minute video, which seems to take place on a Romanian farm, a couple of men bring out one of the pigs to slaughter them. However, they seem really, really bad at it and decide to kill it by slitting its throat. As you can clearly hear from the pig's desperate squealing, it was a very slow and painful death that they gave to the animal, which I'd imagine is not usually how pigs are slaughtered. The video was incredibly gruesome, with every excruciating detail being seen. I don't know why this is still allowed up on YouTube. Does it being an animal rather than a human make it so it doesn't qualify for YouTube guidelines violations?
The sad thing about pigs is they have very, very human looking eyes, so it's uncanny. And you know, like all the mythology behind like human souls being like trapped in pigs, which is why they have very human-esque eyes. It just makes it sad. I don't really like any life getting taken from creatures. I used to cry at like baby seals getting fucking devoured by like killer whales or bigger mammals or polar bear. I don't know. Those
I mean-
like National Geographic videos.
I mean, the pig's slit throat is even focused on the thumbnail. There's no way they haven't seen this video. Not much else to say about this one since we don't have any idea who the men are in this video.
NSFW, actual Saddam Hussein execution. Whoa.
NSFW actual Saddam Hussein execution video is Saddam Hussein's actual execution video, and possibly the worst resolution ever. Not really complaining though, as I'm not exactly a fan of watching people, or pigs, die in gruesome detail. I'm not gonna give you a history lesson on who fucking Saddam Hussein was, as you probably know who he is. I mean, if you're too young to know who he was, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video in the first place. All I've gotta say is that it's actually insane this managed to stay up for the past 17 years.
Crazy. Gerard Miller.
In 2013, a shooting occurred in Las Vegas, Nevada. A married couple, Amanda and Jared Miller, joined together to commit the crime, with their extremist anti-government and white nationalist views commonly being cited as reasons. They murdered 2 police officers and an armed citizen before Jared was shot by police and Amanda took her own life after being wounded and cornered. Reportedly, they had believed that this was the start of a revolution. Clearly, a revolution that ended as soon as it started. While investigating possible motives for the crime, police found Jared Miller's YouTube account, and it is both pretty weird and somehow still up. In his videos, he mostly just drones on about the New World Order and sheeple and, other basic conspiracy theory bullshit. There's one video he posted called I Love You Baby 003 where he's shirtless and crying into a camera about how much he loves his wife, even though the government or Illuminati or whatever try to tear them apart.
Hey babe, it's your husband. I love you so much. I'm gonna miss your smile and your laugh. And the way you can always bring a smile to my face eventually, no matter how crabby of a mood I'm in because of the New World Order and shit.
All things considered, it's a pretty sweet and heartfelt video. Well, actually that's less all things considered and more like most things disregarded, but the point still kind of stands. I imagine that the videos we see here aren't all of his videos, since news articles seem to mention videos where he starts saying a lot more violent things, and also dressing up as the Joker. Yeah, headlines really seem to focus on the fact that he liked dressing up as the Joker on his YouTube channel rather than him saying that he will be sacrificing people to save America or his frequent expression of extreme conspiracy theory beliefs. I never understood why the media was so scared of the Joker, like, as a character. Remember when the movie came out and people were calling for it to be removed from theaters in fear that there'll be a mass shooting for it, and there just never was one? That was weird.
I don't really have any comment.
Jack Ingle, or as he's known on YouTube, Johnny Rotter, or Mad Dog DJ, or Golly Baby, he has a lot of names, is another member of the
He doesn't actually have a black profile picture. I censored this. Oh boy.
ABDL community on YouTube. ABDL, of course, standing for Adult Baby Diaper Lover, as we talked about a few parts back with, Pampered Shoe. His most popular video, Golly Adult Baby Sings Bang 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 by Mark Ronson Karaoke, was uploaded in 2018 and was how he was first discovered, as this was the video that Reddit user SokoPKT posted to r/deep into YouTube. In this video, he not only dresses up as a baby, complete with a diaper, but is also in fucking blackface. Because apparently being into soggy diapers just isn't enough. Apparently you also need to bring back fucking Jim Crow caricatures of black people. Really sealing the deal. For 5 minutes, he sings karaoke dressed in this costume, and that's pretty much it. After the initial shock of the first discovered video, people in the comments began poking around at his channel. Immediately, wow, he's seen spreading his legs
A photo of him spreading his legs on the fucking...
in his banner to reveal his diaper, though that's not his banner anymore. He's got a couple weird videos. I mean, all of them are weird, but,
It's crazy to see a channel like that has like 300 people subscribed to it, because if you think about that, 300 people in an auditorium, that looks like a lot of people. Or 300 people standing in like a baseball field, like a school baseball field. It's still a lot of people.
A couple more karaoke videos.
I think about that, like with everyone subscribed to my channel. I'm like, that's a lot of people, man. Almost 4,000 plus people. That's crazy. Even like I can't imagine how everyone else with bigger numbers seems, minus the bots. That's still a lot of people, bro.
Sometimes he's not in blackface.
So it's crazy to think that there's 300 people that were following this guy.
Other times he is.
Like, when he does that one song Kanye West did about him and his friend Jay-Z's trip to Europe. For those
Say it, swag. Niggas in Paris.
wondering, I don't think he actually drops any N-bombs in this video outside of the title. I don't think it's because he doesn't want to be racist, because, you know, fucking look at him. But a more likely reason is that he doesn't actually say any words in this video, slurs or not. He's also done karaoke to Tanetta, which is an interesting crossover. All this is all, you know, weird and funny until you get to his duet videos, which are easily the most disturbing thing about this channel, and puts everything else in a new light.
Here we go.
He often does karaoke duets with little girls. Very little girls. Like, most likely aren't even teenagers yet. I don't exactly know how these apps work, so I don't know how he found these, but I shouldn't have to explain why the fetish account of an elderly man collaborating with children is an incredibly creepy thing to be happening on YouTube. Some of his videos even have been set to children's content, either by YouTube or by Jack himself. It gets even worse when you realize that in his channel description, his business email is ukmodels@aol.com. Could it be that he's making these videos in order to bait young children into modeling for him? I don't really know for certain. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of concrete info out there about this guy. I mean, he has nearly 2,000 videos, so if you want to dig deeper, then be my guest.
Hell no. Whoa, bro.
Actually, there was one thing that someone found out about that he did on his website all the way back in 2005, where he advertised.
Why not hold your event at Adult Studio? We don't mind, is it? Stack, bro. Oh.
Advertises his quote-unquote adult studio, which has quote-unquote fetish nights, including gay and straight CP. Which, I mean...
I didn't even read that. Wow, bro.
Maybe CP doesn't stand for what you might think it does, but I feel like if anybody has those kinds of skeletons in his closet, it would be this guy. Whatever the case is, this is definitely one of the strangest channels on YouTube. Luka Magnotta is actually one of the most infamous cases of YouTubers turned murderers. I'm pretty sure the only reason that this guy is so far down is because he's especially fucked in the head. He was a Canadian YouTuber, wannabe model, and amateur gay porn star, though he never really had much success in any of these fields. He was absolutely obsessed with himself.
What has me making that face is the fact that he's a YouTuber turned murderer? What?
And his own appearance, and would go through many cosmetic surgeries in order to make himself look better. In his mind, it meant perhaps that he could be a model. He was at first infamous for creating several social media and forum accounts for discussing himself, planting the idea that he was in any way significant, such as claiming that he was a prominent model and successful porn star, despite the fact that his audition for the modeling competition reality TV show Cover Guy was completely unsuccessful, and people in the porn industry have said that not even they really wanted him. He would even spread rumors about himself and then deny them when asked about in interviews. Like when he spread a rumor that he dated Karla Homolka, a infamous Canadian murderer, and then when interviewers questioned him about the rumors, he just said it was a baseless rumor being spread around by random people. What a weird thing to set up. Though I suppose it would be something that would boost his image as a celebrity. He even had alternative YouTube accounts such as Tiger Burning 4, David Beckham Fan 43, Priceless Stud 19, Batman 19090, and Give Peace a Chance 4, which were all dedicated to calling himself the sexiest man alive and comparing himself to the male version of Marilyn Monroe. It's pretty similar to what that guy Anil did all the way back in Tier 6, also known as Human Being 151. Man, I wonder how that guy feels about all the P. Diddy stuff that just happened. Anyways, all these channels are pretty easy to find if you know one of them, because they're all subscribed to each other, because Luka Magnotta is a fucking idiot. It's so interesting.
These aren't even the only channels Luka ran about himself. Look up Luka Magnotta before 2012 without question. See how much there is.
Interesting what people will do if they're obsessed with becoming famous. That being said, none of that is what he's known for. In 2010, Luka posted a video to YouTube called One Boy, Two Kittens, taking the naming scheme from the famous Shock video.
Oh, he's the cat one, huh? I was wondering when that was coming back to play. So it's this guy, huh?
Two Girls, One Cup. In this video, Luka Magnotta, without showing his face on screen, takes two kittens and shoves them into a vacuum cleaner before turning the vacuum on, thereby suffocating the cats. He also released 2 other videos of kitten abuse, where he drowns one of them in a bathtub and another where he feeds a kitten to a python. The internet did not take kindly to these videos of his, and people launched into action trying to find who posted them. They actually did find him and tipped him off to police, as not only is the act of murdering kittens pretty fucking illegal, but it also meant that he could move on to humans. And that's exactly what he did. In 2010, he posted a video online called One Lunatic, One Ice Pick, where he repeatedly stabs a naked, tied up, unidentified man with an ice pick and a kitchen knife, before dismembering him and even committing acts of necrophilia to the dead body. Yeah, it definitely deserves to be down there now that I say that, doesn't it? The man was later identified to be computer engineer John Lynn, who responded to his Craigslist ad for sex. After the video was uploaded, Luca began mailing John's parts to Canadian officials and public schools for some reason, and then fled the country. An alert was sent to Interpol, and he was officially wanted across the globe. For several days, Interpol agents searched for him, and he was eventually found at an internet cafe in Berlin, Germany, while reading news stories about himself. Obviously, he was given a life sentence and is currently rotting away in prison. That being said, though, he did kind of win in the end. His goal all along was to become famous, and that definitely did happen. He made national headlines and was even named 2012's Newsmaker of the Year by the Canadian press. Wait, what? They gave him an award for being the Canadian with the most influence on the news? What the fuck is wrong with Canadians? He also got his own documentary series on Netflix in 2019 called Don't Fuck With Cats, which mainly details the internet sleuthing done surrounding the cat killing. At the end of that series, the filmmaker turns around and says that the viewers are complicit in Luca Magnotta's crimes because they chose to watch a documentary about it, even though he's the one that made the documentary. Fucking look inward, dude.
Hang on, I got stuff to say, but I think I'll save it for the end. What the fuck?
Back in late 2020, Reddit users discovered a really strange trend surrounding some obscure YouTube channels that all had some themes in common with each other. Channels like Piper Rocks, Isabel Piper, and Piper Burns, all of which obviously containing the word Piper in the name, though some other channels were connected too, like
that
Christina Black. All of these channels appear to be run by a young girl named Piper, who was stated to be around 10 years old. The videos on these channels are supposed to be just her messing around and practicing with her video editing software. Everything is shot in front of a green screen, and while it definitely doesn't look professional, it also looks a bit too good to be done by a 10-year-old girl by herself. And that's fine, right? You might be thinking to yourself, clearly this is just a young girl who has a passion for video making, and her parents being the
This far on the fucking tier, and you think that that's what we're thinking? Hell no. I know you're being sarcastic, because there's no way you get past that guy and then you come to this, and there's no way this can be weird. It's literally the last entry, right? I'm pretty sure. Oh, this is a couple. Oh, no. Okay. It's just a big gap for how I think YouTube tried to do the timestamps. And it's called Piper Gate, bro.
the consoles that they are, helped her set it all up. Yeah, no, you should know by now that it's definitely not the case.
Yeah,
a lot of these videos have an oddly sexual theme, with scenes of her getting kidnapped by horror movie monsters and other villains. The outro that she uses in pretty much every video was allegedly the Looney Tunes That's All Folks thing, but with an upskirt shot of the girl. I can't confirm that one for myself, as there's no archive of any of these channels' content besides the B-roll footage featured in Nick Crowley's video on the subject, but that's also probably a good thing that
Nick Crowley's videos where I'm getting these screenshots, link in the description.
there's no archive. In the comments of these videos, people would be incredibly flirtatious with the person running the account, who they believe to be a 10 to 11-year-old girl, asking for her number or her Snapchat. Whether or not this channel's content is pedophilic fetish content is, well, I think it's safe to say it's not debatable, but these comments definitely hammer nails into the coffin. Now, notably, something that makes this at least a little better, at least depending on your perspective, is that the little girl clips featured in these videos don't actually originate from the channel. Most of them are probably stock footage, or in some cases even taken straight from a popular TV show like Lazy Town or The Amanda Show. You're meant to believe it's a single little girl named Piper, but the appearance of quote-unquote Piper differs between videos and sometimes even scenes. That being said, that doesn't really make things too much better, and the question of what's the purpose of these channels still hangs in the air. It existed on YouTube for far longer than 2020, with some of these channels being almost a decade old. 4chan users from X, the paranormal board, began doing investigation into these channels, and found out that the email associated with the Piper Burns YouTube channel belonged to a man named William Glenn Whitaker, who was notably not a 10-year-old girl named Piper, but rather a 65-year-old man from Florida.
A quick Google search brought up that William here had a spot on the sex offender registry. In 2002, he was arrested for possession of inappropriate images of children. News articles from the time delve a bit deeper. In the Tampa Bay Times, it said that William ran a fake modeling agency out of his home, titled Wizard Productions, and authorities investigated him after a complaint was sent that he was trying to recruit children for photo shoots and selling the photos on the internet. 2002? God damn, this guy's been being creepy to children on the internet since before I was born. He would promise them and their parents child stardom, as he had connections in the industry. That's what he said anyways, though it's definitely bullshit. Something I neglected to talk about is that a lot of the source videos are taken from real videos by little girls running their YouTube channels, often with low view counts and subscribers. Now, nobody really knows the true end goal with this channel. Sure, it's most definitely something malicious. I don't think anyone at this point has really subscribed to the theory that these channels are just innocent fun. But what's the point of making these videos for so long? Some go as far to allege that these videos had chat rooms that you would get invited to for subscribing to one of the channels or following one of the Twitter accounts, where they would share nude photos of children to you or something. To this day, all of the channels involved have been wiped off the face of YouTube, and there exists little to no archive of anything related to the case, including the write-up 4chaners did on the subject. I don't know if I'm just bad at researching, but I couldn't find an existing re-upload.
Turns out I was just bad at researching. I was able to find a re-upload after.
On this Iceberg chart, entries are tagged with the letter D to denote when they've been deleted. However, there are 3 colors used to specify how well it's been archived. A blue D means that there is partial or full archive of a channel or video. Then there's a red D, which means there's basically no archive for it, effectively making it the lost media tag. These 2 tags have been used across the Iceberg, and there are tons of entries it applies to. However, Pipergate is the very first entry on the Iceberg with a white letter D tag, meaning it's been deleted, but Potted Plant personally is not going to freaking find out if it's still archived elsewhere. And I'm honestly not going to either. Whatever the case, Pipergate remains as one of YouTube's darkest rabbit holes.
I wondered if through the other half, like this half of the video, I was noticeably more quiet. There was a lot of thoughts running in my mind. I'm gonna let Swag finish it up, and then we'll wrap up. I'll talk about why.
And that's it for Tier 9 of the massive YouTube Iceberg. Jesus fucking Christ, right? Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that the end of this video is as heavy as the series is going to get.
Oh, okay, it just abruptly ended. Probably talks about that in the next tier. Okay, what I want to say, holy fucking crap, bro. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Why I got very quiet at the end there was because I started to kind of go down a rabbit hole in my mind of like Pizzagate and why there's so much pedophilia in Hollywood and running around this realm of existence. And honestly, I came to a very odd conclusion in my mind that a portion of this reality is about the kids. It's something about the youth, bro. Why are all conspiracy theories and everything like that always revolving around children? Like, I almost don't want to go down that rabbit hole, and I've avoided that a lot. But like things like adrenochrome and all that, I don't know, man. I don't know. And you know, certain presidents being weird around children, I don't know, man. And like, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna. This definitely was disturbing because what the disturbing part for me didn't come from the actual stories themselves. That played a portion into why the cogs started to turn. But when it gets into the child stuff and then like the murders and everything, it kind of starts to make you think or consider certain things. I don't know. And I started thinking like, how is this shit by design, bro? Shit, bro. It feels like a spiritual war. Like that's almost what I said in my head. I'm like, yo, there's really 2 sides of the spectrum clashing right now because Imagine being a being that could go out and commit acts like this. What has to be running through your mind, if anything at all? Yeah, this one got me, guys. This one got me. What the fuck? That was crazy. It didn't get me where like my whole body feels off. I got chills at one point, but it's because of like the spiral I went down. But this got me in like a, it's literally my own mind doing it. Like, cause most of the disturbing stuff on the Iceberg, I'm not gonna lie, like I am grossed out or whatever, but it doesn't hit like how this made me start really thinking about shit. Which of course is the effect, obviously. But I mean, like, usually I can kind of just be like, oh, okay, that's creepy, that's horrible, whatever. But this, like, I don't know, this one I started thinking. This is fucked. This was really dark. And then the other guy kind of got me too, the one who got arrested, like who was trying to be famous. Like he was really doing all of that because of fame, or like just needing to get recognition. Like, or like a portion of it was these were the lengths he was willing to go through. It's never that serious, dude. What? I don't know, man. Crazy. Much love in Moonlight. I'm out of here.